Fellow Ron Paul supporters, I'm Hans Lysglimt. I want to congratulate you now on the victory in Texas. Ron Paul won in Texas, and this means that he's going to continue as a congressman. And this is a great victory for everyone who's in the Ron Paul movement. We have to celebrate this. This is amazing. This means that the issues that we are working for and the whole movement around Ron Paul, everything that he is about, the message that he is promoting, will live on even after the presidential election, regardless of how the election as such goes for Ron Paul. We're hoping that Ron Paul will be the next president, but we have to admit that it's going to be a hard upwards battle. But what's important is that the issues will continue to be raised and that we have something to gather around and to use as a focus point around the continuation of this movement regardless. Because it's really important to remember that this is a long and hard fight. This is going to be very hard regardless. Even if Ron Paul is elected the president in November, it's not going to be a clean sweep, and that means that everything's changed. No, the power establishment is going to work against everything that Ron Paul is going to want to do, and it's going to be a tremendous fight. There are going to be tons of lawsuits. There are going to be fights in all levels of government, and the military complex, they're going to have their say, and foreign governments. I mean, if Ron Paul was elected the president, and we hope so, it would be a direct threat to the state of Israel, for example, if the support from the U.S. should stop. And a government is not going to take that just lying down. So it's going to be a fight of momentous proportions if we win. Now, I want us to think of both scenarios. We should prepare to win, but we should also realize that our chances of winning are slim. And what's really important is that we keep this movement going even if we don't win the presidency this time. We have to really think hard how to use the momentum that we have right now to create a force that will continue on, perhaps even for generations, to finally get things straight and to retake the government of the United States back to the people and away from the power establishment. So that's why it's so important that each and every one of us in this year, 2008, do whatever we can to help this movement become a long-term movement. And as Ron Paul has said himself, it's not really about Ron Paul, it's about his message. So this movement will most likely a few years from now take on a different name than the Ron Paul movement. It is a constitutional limited government freedom movement. That's what it really is. And we have to align ourselves with a great tradition that goes hundreds of years back of working for freedom and towards freedom to keep these issues alive and keep the ideas alive. Eternal vigilance is what it takes. And every generation has to rediscover and recommunicate and reinforce these ideas in their contemporary society. And that is our job now, to hold these ideas alive and to keep the momentum up. So now, if we look at 2008, there are a lot of exciting things that are going to happen. The movement, the Ron Paul movement, is going to continue all the way through the year and even beyond that. But 2008 really is special because we have been able to raise the issues and so many people have heard about us and what we're doing. So what are we going to do to keep this momentum, to keep this force going regardless? We have to really connect with each other. You know, the internet is the bearer of this movement, and it has enabled the movement. And we have to use the internet for everything it's worth. And I think it's really important that we establish connections between each other. Look at all the meetup groups, and look at all the YouTube channels, and look at all the subscribers to my channel. And these will continue on. I mean, these are networks. These are people that didn't even know about each other a few years ago or even last year. And now they have a way of talking to each other, identifying each other, knowing who to talk to, knowing how to get together later on and talk about the election in 2009, what went well, what went not so well, how can we improve next time. These networks are essential, and we have to do everything we can to strengthen these networks. I already see that the ronpaul2008.com, the central site, they're really working hard and well to collect names and emails and addresses to keep this movement going on. But this is also the responsibility of each and every one of us. Find out the other people that are Ron Paul supporters, supporters of liberty in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, at our workplace. And remember them, exchange email addresses with them and telephone number, and establish bonds and friendships so that we can keep this going for a long time. This is essential in the years ahead, and maybe even in the generations ahead. So I believe that when we look back upon the Ron Paul movement in 2008, if we don't win, touch wood, but if we don't win, it will be the awakening of the issues of liberty with the force of the internet. Some people say that the Soviet Empire was brought down because of the fax machine, because people could fax into the Soviet Empire that was closed, the Iron Curtain. They could fax information in. So the truth spread around in the Soviet Empire, and that made the whole thing crumble because the truth could not be contained. And I believe that the internet and what's happening right now with our movement and what the ideas we're spreading online is a continuation of that. It's a direct consequence of this truth spreading around. The truth cannot be contained. The government is corrupt. It's too big. The military-industrial complex has taken over. The power establishment has taken on power. And this truth can no longer be contained because we are communicating with each other. I'm telling it to the world right now, and it cannot be contained and stopped. So this really is an awakening and something, a turning point in history that's incredibly important that we are part of. And this Ron Paul presidential campaign 2008 really is the spark of something, an uprising that cannot be stopped. I'm extremely excited to be part of that. Now my contribution, as I've said, is to make these videos, and I'm going to continue making these videos. And I've put a system into it now. I'm going to call it the Freedom Academy, and it's going to have this logo. And I'm going to make a series of videos in the Freedom Academy where I will go through the issues in a more structured way and bring up one issue at a time. And hopefully these videos will spread, and that will be part of this movement. I'm very grateful to be part of this, and I'm honored to be able to make these videos. You're watching the Freedom Academy. I'm Lysglimt.